The Georgia Bulldogs have been the benchmark of the best of college football for the last 3 years. That's what Mike Norvell had to say about the Georgia Bulldogs when he was asked about them. Basically, this week, the current Florida State head coach knows he's got a rough road ahead of him as they try to take on the Dogs in the Orange Bowl this weekend. And I know that Georgia fans are disappointed because Georgia's not going to win the national championship this year. Like I've said in the past, only Georgia and Alabama should be disappointed with not winning a national championship because where they are as programs, it's championship or bust, and no one else can say that. So as a Georgia fan, I know this season is disappointing, even though they're probably going to end it 13-1, right? A season that most programs couldn't even dream of, but that's reality, and that's where we are right now. But I do think it's important for Georgia fans to kind of sit back and look at the big picture of everything. Georgia's the benchmark of the best of college football. That's what another coach has said. And if you're a Georgia fan, you still have to realize that this program isn't going anywhere. It is going to be one of the best of college football for years to come. The transfer portal is not going to hurt Kirby Smart or the Georgia Bulldogs. It's not going to take them down a notch compared to everyone else, right? Conference realignment is not going to push Georgia down the college football mountain. They're going to be towards the top with Alabama, probably with Texas and Ohio State and Michigan for years to come. These big programs aren't worried about all these external factors that are going on in college football right now. So if you're a Georgia fan, I know it's tough right now to get excited for Florida State in the Orange Bowl, right? Georgia is bigger than the Orange Bowl. Florida State's not. They should be thrilled to be in this game. I know that they are still, upset and they're still crying about the fact that they're not in the college football playoff. But Georgia has an opportunity to really crush them and embarrass them this upcoming weekend, and I think they should take that opportunity. But when another coach comes out and says, hey, they're still the standard, and, it's them. They're still the reigning two-time national champions, right? That's still the number one program in college football. Now, that will probably change when someone else wins the national title this year, but if you're Georgia, you've still won it 2 out of 3 years, and they're going to be one of the favorites to win it next year. So, big picture, right? The grand scheme of everything is Georgia's going to be right back in the thick of it next year, and the year after that, and the year after that. That's where they are as a program. That's what Kirby Smart has built. He's built a machine, and this machine is not slowing down anytime soon. They did stumble against Alabama on the biggest stage, and sometimes that happens, right? When you win 29 straight games, you're bound to slip up a little bit and not play your best football, and that's what they did. But when other teams and coaches like Mike Norvell are looking at, Georgia, and they're saying, man, that's not the program we want to go up against right now. It says a lot about where they are as a program and the fact that, again, they're not going anywhere. And when you get that respect from all these other coaches and all these other programs, it should mean a lot. Listen, these Florida State players are opting out because they don't want any part of Georgia. They don't want to play against the Dogs in this game. So they're all saying, all right, see you later. We know what's going to happen. When we go to Fort Lauderdale, when we go to South Florida, and we have to play the mighty Georgia Bulldogs, we know what's going to happen. So I'm going to rest. I'm going to take a seat back, and I'm going to focus on myself, right? It's quitting on the team, but they're looking out for themselves. They're not looking out for their teammates in the program because they don't want to play Georgia. Mike Norvell doesn't want to play Georgia. He knows what's going to happen. Kirby Smart knows what's going to happen. We all know what's going to happen. Georgia's going to win this game, and they have a chance to make it really, really ugly. But at the end of the day, Georgia fans have to, still acknowledge and still understand where this team is and where this program is. And they're at the top still. They are number one right now until someone else wins a national title. But they could be right back next year. And they could make it 3 out of 4 and really take a strong hold on this era of college football. And again, when you write the history of college football, you can't leave out the back-to-back national champion Georgia Bulldogs in 21 and 22. There are not a whole lot of programs who will get their chapter when the grand book down the road, however many years it is, when they write about college football, right, the index, the thesaurus, or whatever you want to call it, there's a special place in there for Georgia football and what they've been able to accomplish. And, a lot of other programs are kind of going to be written over, right? They're not relevant right now. Sorry, Tennessee. Sorry, Auburn, South Carolina. The list goes on and on, yada, yada, yada. Clemson is not relevant anymore. Florida State hasn't been relevant for a long, long time. They had a losing record from 2018 to 2021. 4 straight seasons they had a losing record. Welcome to relevancy, Florida State. Good to see you. But they're not where Georgia's at right now. I know they had a cute little 13-0 season in the ACC, but they're not on the same level as Georgia as a team right now, as a program right now. They're just not. And if you look at these two teams side by side, Georgia's bigger, stronger, more physical. And of course, that's with a lot of these players, Florida State players quitting, right? But it is what it is. Even if Florida State were 100% healthy, I would take Georgia in this game because they're better and deeper top to bottom. Florida State's got a lot of really good players, and they are probably a top 10 team in college football when they are healthy. They've deserved that. They've earned that right. But when your head coach is coming out saying, hey, we're going against the best, we're going against the benchmark of college football. They're the standard. They're the best right now. And I've got to figure out, how to put a team together when everyone's quitting on the team and the program. And we got to play the big dogs, the Georgia Bulldogs. Mike Norvell's in a really tough spot. And, all these players opting out. I've written about this over on Dawg Post. You can go read it. You can sign up to our free newsletter. That link is down below. But this is a bad look for the program. It's a bad look for all the players who are opting out. And it is what it is. And if Georgia beats them by 30, 40 points, that's all people are going to remember down, the road. No one's going to remember the context of this game and how it went. People are going to remember the scoreboard. That's all that matters down the road. So if Georgia wins this game by 20, 30 points, it's going to say number 6 Georgia beating undefeated number 5 Florida State. And that's how it's going to be written. And it's tough for Florida State fans because they know that they're probably going to get just throttled in this game. But it shows where these two programs are right now. One program is connected and the players want to play for their teammates and their program and their coach. And then you have the Florida State players who said, nah, I'm done. I'm bigger than the Orange Bowl for whatever reason. This would have been the biggest game a lot of those players who are opting out has ever played in their life was the Orange Bowl. Biggest game they could ever play in. And they're all saying no thanks. It's pretty ridiculous, but it is what it is. But, big picture, right? How I started this video is the respect that everyone has for this Georgia team. It's at an elite level. Every college football coach out there, every program, if you ask them about Georgia, they're going to say, yeah, they're doing it right. That's how you build a program. That's how you build a college football powerhouse. Do exactly what Kirby did. You go out, you recruit, you sign elite players, and you develop them, and you try to keep as many in the program as possible. And in this era of the transfer portal guys just leaving willy-nilly, a lot of guys don't want to compete. No one wants to wait. Everyone wants kind of starting roles to be handed to them. It's tough to recruit your own players to stay at your school and at your program every year, and that's what Kirby Smart has to deal with. And with a lot of these young guys that are leaving after 1 year, I think Kirby's saying, okay, whatever, dude. You're missing a golden opportunity, but all right, see you later. We've got some other guys who are going to replace you. A lot of players want to play for Georgia, and if you don't want to, there's the door. Good luck on your way out. Hope, you get that playing time that you desperately want. But this game could get ugly, and Mike Norvell knows it because he knows that he's playing against the benchmark of the best of college football for the last 3 years. And again, my grand point is that they're going to stay there. And this year is going to be looked at as a disappointment, 13-1. Again, Georgia's the only program, and Alabama, who can say 13-1 is not good enough. Most programs are probably making a banner and hanging it in their stadium, 13-1. Not at Georgia, not at Alabama. And you want that if you're a Georgia fan. You want your program to be at that level where you are bigger than the Orange Bowl. And that's a fact. Georgia, right now, the Orange Bowl is beneath them because there's no national championship aspirations left. There's no chance to win a national title. So, I totally get if Georgia players opted out, but it seems like a lot of them, guys who could opt out, are playing because they are connected and they care about the program and their teammates. And that's something that you just aren't seeing right now across the country and at most programs. Not at Georgia. No national championship, doesn't matter. These guys are out playing. Brock Bowers and Amari Smims are a different story because they are going to be guaranteed first-round picks. If you're not a guaranteed first-round pick, you should be playing in this game, and I'm saying that for Georgia players and Florida State players. But Florida State, they've quit. They've given up on the season, and it might show up in the scoreboard on I guess, Saturday evening, right? When the Dogs take on Florida State. Could be an ugly game. At the end of the day, Georgia's going to be back next year in contention for a national title. We hope that y'all join us, and we hope to see you over on Dawg Post.